Quick question. If I told you there's a piece of math that takes about 5 seconds to do, and it tells you exactly how long it'll take to double your money at any given return, would you want to know it? Because it exists. It's called the Rule of 72, and here's the wild part. Most people who have heard of it only know half of it. They know the fun half. The half that makes compounding look magical. Nobody tells you the other half, the part that actually matters if you're trying to build real wealth instead of just feeling good about a spreadsheet. Quick disclaimer before I go further, not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice, just me walking you through math I use myself when I'm sizing up decisions. Here's the setup. The Rule of 72 says, take the number 72, divide it by your annual rate of return, and that tells you roughly how many years it takes your money to double. Get an 8% return. 72 divided by 8 is 9. 9 years to double. Get 12%. 6 years. It's genuinely one of the most useful shortcuts in finance, and I use it constantly in my head in real time when I'm looking at any investment. But here's why I'm making this video. Most people learn that one line, get excited, and stop there. They start doing math on returns they'll never actually get, ignoring inflation, ignoring fees, ignoring the version of this rule that works against you instead of for you. That's the part nobody talks about. So by the end of this, you're going to know how to actually use this thing, including the side of it that should honestly make you a little uncomfortable. Okay, let's actually build this properly, because most explanations stop at 72 divided by your rate and leave you there. That's not enough to use it well. Here's the blocker most people hit first. They don't know what rate to plug in. Do you use the stock market's long-term average? Your own portfolio's return? A savings account's interest rate? All three, actually, that's the whole point. This rule isn't one calculation. It's a lens you run across every part of your financial life. Let's walk through it like I would if I were doing this myself. Say you're in a total market index fund averaging around 7% a year historically, after inflation. 72 divided by 7 is a little over 10. So, roughly speaking, money sitting in that kind of fund could double about every 10 years. Not guaranteed, this is historical pattern, not a promise, but it's a useful planning number. Now here's the part that trips people up. A lot of people run this rule on their return and get excited, but they forget to run it on their bank account too. If your high-yield savings account is paying you 1%, 72 divided by 1 is 72 years to double. 72 years? That's the same math, same rule, brutal result. Suddenly, it's not a fun party trick. It's a wake-up call about where your cash is actually sitting. I remember running this exact number for the first time on an old savings account. I'd basically forgotten about money I thought was safe and being smart with. 72 years to double. That was the moment. I moved almost all of it within a week. And here's a common misconception I want to correct directly. People think the Rule of 72 only applies to investing. It doesn't. It applies to debt too, working against you instead of for you, which is exactly where this gets uncomfortable, and exactly where we're headed next. Here's the half of this rule nobody talks about, and it's the reason I wanted to make this video in the first place. The Rule of 72 doesn't care whether the interest is working for you or against you. It just measures doubling, and debt doubles too. Take a credit card charging you 22% interest, which is honestly pretty typical these days. 72 divided by 22 is a little over 3. That means if you're carrying a balance and not paying it down, that debt is on pace to double in about 3 years. 3 years? That's the exact same rule that sounded exciting a minute ago, now working in reverse. Against you, quietly in the background, every single month you don't pay it off. That's the blocker I want to name directly. Most people treat compounding as this warm, cozy word that only applies to their investments. It doesn't have an opinion about that. It's neutral math. It amplifies whatever you point it at. Savings, index funds, or a balance you're not addressing. It treats all of them exactly the same. Here's a quick way to make this practical, almost like a mental checklist you can run on your own numbers right now. Take any rate you're currently earning or paying, your savings account, your investment portfolio, your credit card, even a loan. Divide 72 by that number, and you'll get roughly how many years until that amount doubles. Do that for every account you have. It takes about 2 minutes total, and for most people, it's genuinely eye-opening. One more misconception before we close this out. People assume the rule of 72 is only accurate for round, clean numbers like 6, 8, or 12%. It actually holds up reasonably well anywhere from about 6 to 10%, gets slightly less precise outside that range. But even then, it's close enough to be genuinely useful for quick, real-world decisions, not a precise formula, a fast gut check. So here's the takeaway, the whole video in one line. The rule of 72 isn't a trick for getting rich faster. It's a mirror that shows you exactly where your money's actually heading, good or bad, whether you're paying attention or not. I run this math on my own accounts constantly. It's part of why I caught that dead savings account years ago, and it's part of why I've never let a credit card balance sit long enough to actually double on me. Same rule both directions every time. If you want to see exactly how I apply this across an entire portfolio, step by step, I actually have a whole video breaking that down. But don't click on it just yet. Stay with me a second longer. If you want to be the kind of person who actually looks at the math instead of avoiding it, that's what hitting subscribe here is really about. Not for me, for the version of you that stops guessing and starts calculating.